out to be what he was in the past 5 games, or the last 5 games for San Francisco last year, then I'd say Garoppolo. But I need to see more games to really be confident. I mean, you see that all the time. You see backup quarterbacks get a shot somewhere, maybe have a good game or two, and everybody goes crazy over them in free agency. And it does. I mean, Scott Mitchell is the perfect example of that. When he went to the Lions and just wasn't what they thought he would be. Matt Schaub wasn't all that good for the Texans.
Matt Castle.
Yep. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo has a little bit more of a track record, playing 5 straight games for San Francisco, which I don't think was all that good. I mean, they started the season 0-10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, or maybe it was 0-9. And went 1-6 in the final 7 games. So, Garoppolo certainly turned that around. So my thinking is he is probably going to turn out to be a very good quarterback for them. And if you take him out of San Francisco, put him in Minnesota, where I think they have better weapons, maybe not better offensive line, that's still to be determined, you might have an even greater success than what the Vikings might have with Kirk Cousins.
And the other question is, would you rather get your quarterback by giving him a record deal, or would you rather get your quarterback by trading a draft pick or 2?
Well, here's the thing, though. Yes, the 49ers had to give up a draft pick to get Garoppolo there, but they also gave him a really good contract, too. So, would I rather have Cousins' contract and the ability to still draft? Yes, I would probably take that over Garoppolo's, which isn't quite as big as Cousins, but is still, at the time, was a very, very big deal for a quarterback, and you lost out on at least one draft pick. I don't remember I think it was a second-round pick that they gave up for him.
Right.
So,
which is a steal if he can play.
Yeah. I mean, if he's as good for the next couple of years as he was in the last 5 games for San Francisco, it is an absolute steal for them.
And I think that will be the downfall of the Patriots' current dynasty, is that they're going to run out of quarterbacks. Whenever everybody can't play anymore, they're going to regret having gotten rid of Garoppolo.
I totally agree, and we talked about this last week. So if Drew Brees is on his last year in New Orleans, I think it was a great trade for them to bring in Teddy.
Right.
If Brees is going to play for 2 or 3 more years, and Teddy's on his the last year of his, he signed a 1-year deal, so then it's not a great deal for New Orleans to do that. So it all depends on what you know about the future of your quarterback position.
John Hedges is our friend. He comes out to a lot of our a lot of our Wild shows with Michael Russo at Delano's Pizza, and he is also sponsoring this program. He runs Fixology Repair in Minnesota. There's a Fixology Repair, 3rd floor of the Mall of America by Nordstrom's. I walk by there all the time. They also, not only they fix everything, they also sell really cool watches and accessories. Nice big space. They also have a nice cozy spot in the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis, just south of the Wells Fargo Center, across from Dunn Brothers. They just very clean, efficient shops. They can engrave stuff. They can fix your iPad, fix your watch. They can fix anything. So check out fixologyrepair.com.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at Mall of America. Please visit us at fixologyrepair.com or at FixologyMN on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
All right, what do you think of the 49ers? How big a challenge are they in this game?
I think that it's a difficult situation for the Vikings to be in because, you have the 49ers that finish the season on a 5-game winning with Garoppolo in position, and I just don't. I think they're a better team than most people think because of what their record was last year. And when you look at how they finished out the season, the one beyond Garoppolo's stats, which in those last 5 games when he was starting, he averaged more than 300 yards.
And some of them were against good defenses. He beat the Rams. He beat some good teams.
Right. And initially I thought, well, maybe he didn't play very good defenses, but he certainly did. And he had a couple games with a rating over 100. So there is Garoppolo there. The other thing that really stood out to me in looking at what San Francisco did with Garoppolo, they averaged 6 yards on first down last year, which is really good. I think it was second or third in the NFL last year. Now, I do wonder how much the loss of Jerick McKinnon is going to screw them up, especially the timing of it. Because when you spent your whole offseason kind of preparing your offense, saying we have a running back that's very good at catching passes out of the backfield, and now all of a sudden he's gone, and your other running backs are probably a little bit more between the tackles guys, I wonder how much that limits Shanahan and what he can do with his play calling. So that would be my big question about them on offense.
The Vikings are going into the season with a brand new kicker who had a couple misses in week 3 and a brand new punter. Does that worry you if you're a Viking fan or if you're a member of the Vikings organization?
Yeah, I think it should. The kicker thing, Daniel Carlson has a tremendous leg, and so that's also going to help them on kickoffs. And I think eventually he'll be able to settle down and just kind of concentrate on kicking, but I don't like the fact that they brought in a new punter for this reason, because you have a new holder now all of a sudden in a part of the game that requires a good snap, a good hold, and a good kick. So I would be concerned about that aspect of it and getting the timing down, because they were already trying to work on his timing throughout the offseason, getting him to approach the ball quicker. I do like the fact that they got a new punter, because I'm really curious to see. Mike Prefer, their special teams coordinator, has always been big on we directionally punt. We're more concerned about hang time and where the ball is placed than how far our punter can kick it. And Matt Weil, their new kicker, or their new punter, had a tremendous average in the preseason with Pittsburgh. And got a chance to see him punt a little bit today at practice, and he certainly can put the height on the ball. He can get it deep. But I'm curious to see how this meshes again when you have a punter who has a big leg with Prefer, who basically just wants to limit the opportunity for a return. So if Wiles ends up out-kicking his coverage a few times, that's going to cause big tension. And so how that all works out, I'm curious to see, but I would rather have the strong-legged punter if he can put some air under it and give his guys some time to go down and cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike Hughes is a really interesting figure. And so here you have the Vikings with all these expectations. They're opening up with a slot, a nickel cornerback. Yep. That's what I'm trying to say. A nickel corner who wasn't expected to be there. New punter, new kicker, and a brand new center. How do you think it plays out at center and nickel corner?
Yeah, at center it sure is looking like it's going to be Brett Jones, despite a report earlier this week that said it would be Danny Isadora, which makes sense to me because Brett Jones, I mean, he had 12 starts as a center with the Giants last year. Danny Isadora has been playing guard all his life, and all of a sudden the last preseason game they have him starting at center to see what he can do, and Brett Jones starting at left guard. Now, Jones will probably be at center. Tom Compton will probably remain at left guard. I think Jones is a much better option because of his experience, because of reading defenses, making line calls, all that sort of stuff. It's unfortunate for Kirk Cousins coming into a new offense, new teammates, and he's got a new center. I think that's maybe a little bit underrated in trying to figure out protections and get comfortable with it, that what Brett Jones is going to call is what Kirk Cousins wants, and then who knows if it's week 2, 3, or 4 when Pat Elflein comes back and he got a new center that he's never worked with. So all that could be a little bit of a mess, but I think if you're trying to choose between Isadora or Brett Jones at center, I like Brett Jones better at center.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. With Hughes, I think it would have been Mackenzie Alexander as their starting nickel cornerback, but he's kind of dinged up. I would not be at all surprised if he is inactive for this game as they just try to work him back slowly, which, the defensive backs that they have active for this game is going to be really interesting to see, because do they just make almost all of their defensive backs active and play them more on special teams because some of the new rules with the kickoffs, and or who are you going to have inactive? Is it going to be Jaron Kearse inactive? I don't think so, because he's an important part of their special teams, and they've shown some different looks with him, potentially even playing against the slot receiver in certain looks or against a tight end that's spread out. But, the interesting part is if Mike Hughes is their starting nickel back, which I fully expect to happen on Sunday, how much do they use him on kick returns? Because that's really a big part of his value. I tend to think if he's their starting nickel back and getting the 60 to 70% of the snaps, you probably don't have him be your kick returner. You probably have Marcus Sherrills being your kick returner.
Terrence Newman, how difficult is it to immediately become a coach?
In his case, I don't think it's going to be very difficult because, number one, he's had the respect of the players that he's coaching since he came here because he was the elder statesman when he got here. He's had 3 years basically being a coach on the field for them, and they all respect him. So there's that, and there's also he's been in Zimmer's system in Dallas and Cincinnati and here. I think it's probably a total of probably close to 10 years of his career have been spent with Mike Zimmer's system. So I think he knows it really well. The one interesting part of that, on Monday when they had Newman available to the media, I asked him, so what if injuries come up during the season in the defensive backfield? Would you consider coming out of coaching and playing? That time I didn't know the rule. After I asked the question and got back, and I'm like, I wonder if that's even possible.
Right.
So I emailed the NFL on it, and no, it's not possible. And Newman, I don't think he knew that based on how he answered the question. I think he kind of had in the back of his mind, hey, if there are injuries, yep, I can go put the pads on and get back on the field.
You're trying to get the Vikings to cheat. That's what you're doing, Tim.
Yeah, well, it didn't work. So they're called out on it before it ever happened.
What's up with Dalvin Cook?
So this is I don't know if you heard about the two football players from Florida International University.
In passing, I heard about it, yes.
So they got shot. Both of them are one of them just got shot in the arm. He's already out of the hospital. Well, that guy turns out to be Dalvin Cook's cousin. I talked to Cook about this today. And the guy that got shot in the back and neck area and came through the throat and mouth area turns out to be Dalvin Cook's uncle, who, follow me now, grew up with Dalvin. So is actually younger than Dalvin.
Okay.
So they grew up in the same house. Basically, this is Dalvin's brother that got shot through the neck and throat. He told me today that his brother is I'm going to call him his brother because essentially that's what he is. He grew up with him. Dalvin grew up with his grandmother, who basically is this guy's mom. So anyway,
I get the point.
Kind of a complicated situation.
Family
there.
members,
right?
Yeah.
So basically, it's his brother. He grew up with him. So he told me today that his brother, Anthony Jones, is the guy's name, has been placed in an induced coma to help him breathe, but Dalvin confirmed that it's not expected to be life-threatening injuries. 5 to 6 days, he expects that he will be coming out of this induced coma. And I asked Dalvin if he was going to head down there to see him on Saturday, which is typically a pretty light day for the players. And he said no, he was going to play this game. He wants to, kind of play the game in honor, or I don't want to say in honor of him because he's expected to live through this, but as a salute to him. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this. But people should know he did talk to the Vikings. He said he talked to Rick Spielman, he talked to Mike Zimmer, he talked to his position coach, and all of them said, whatever you need to do to handle this, go ahead and do it. And Dalvin just made the decision on his own that he did not, he didn't want to miss this game. He didn't want to miss practice. And so we're just going to see how he plays. And he'll probably head down to Florida early next week, maybe right after the game on Sunday, and see how his uncle/brother is doing, Anthony Jones.
Got it. In a bizarre coincidence, Jeff Diamond just showed up at Mississippi Pub. How about that?
How are you?
Jeff was the general manager for the Vikings in some of the glory years. He grew up in the Vikings organization, did everything from PR stuff